Hello and welcome to Xavier University. I'm Rachel Crastel. Today we are honored to speak with Ohio State Senator Cecil Thomas, who is a candidate for mayor of the city of Cincinnati. This interview is sponsored by Take It On, Xavier's nonpartisan initiative to encourage better dialogue and robust, peaceful engagement in politics. With me today is Mickey Townsend, president of the Student Government Association, and Christo Fossi, Take It On's student intern. Welcome, Senator Thomas, and thank you for being here with us at Xavier. Our first question will come from President Townsend.
Yeah, so my first question for you, Senator Thomas, is why should college students care about the mayor race?
Oh, wow, that's an easy one. Well, first of all, obviously, thank you all for allowing me to speak. And I have a significant amount of experience going back to 1972 to where I am now. Why should college students care about the mayor? It's very simple. You all live in the city of Cincinnati. You are residents of the city of Cincinnati. You are residents of the surrounding neighborhoods that you all have to interact with on a regular basis. And it's critical that decisions that are made at City Hall impact all of our residents. And so it would behoove you to be concerned about the mayor's race and who's the mayor and the decisions that are being made. And make sure that you are a part of the city of Cincinnati and not apart from it. And this is why I've seen I so actively get involved with the students, because you all are extremely bright and you're able to put a lot of what you do in the classroom into practical experience working in the living in the city of Cincinnati.
So our next question will come from Mr. Fossi.
Thank you very much, Senator Thomas, for joining us today. So kind of touching on something you just mentioned in your previous answer, why should college students support your candidacy for mayor specifically?
Very good. I'm glad you asked that question. First of all, experience. I have so much experience in the inner workings of what happens in a city. I spent 27 years in law enforcement, working in every neighborhood in the city of Cincinnati, and I've worked homicide and undercover narcotics and robbery squad, and on and on. So I have a well-rounded experience in dealing with the issues of crime in our city. Then I also left there and became the executive director of the Cincinnati Human Relations Commission. I retired in the year 1999, 2000, and took over the commission at that time. And unfortunately, we had civil unrest in the city of Cincinnati in 2001. So my experience being a former law enforcement officer, understanding what the officers were feeling when the unrest took place, as well as being a very active community member, understanding what the community was feeling. So that experience put me in a position to be very impactful in bringing our city back into some efforts moving forward in a much better situation. Then, after I left the commission after 5 years, I decided to run for city council. The only reason I ran for city council was because one of the programs that I put in place that Xavier University was helpful in being a part of after the civil unrest, we brought our heads together. Xavier was a huge part of that. And the students were involved, and we talked about what were we doing wrong in the city of Cincinnati to have civil unrest. And as a result, one of the programs that I put in place was the Street Advocate Program. At that time, it was called the Street Worker Program. It was mirrored after Professor Kennedy of Boston, out of Johns Hopkins University, Professor David Kennedy, and it was called the Boston Miracle in Boston. I brought that to Cincinnati, and in 2003, after the civil unrest, we put it all together. I've got a foundation grant for 2 years to make it to get it going. I went to city council after that and said, "Hey, we got to keep this program going. The foundation money is running out." And as a result, the city said, "Well, Mr. Thomas, thank you, but we are doing well now. We're getting back to normal." I said, "Oh no." So I said, "Well, I know how to do this. I'll run for city council." And so in 2005, I put a campaign together, thanks to some help from some of the Xavier students. We put a campaign together, and I was elected as one of the 9 members of city council. And so, when once I got elected, I began to put some processes in place, and I was able to lobby the members of city council to save that program. So when I talk about experience, now let's move a little further. I spent 8 years on city council. I wanted to be on city council to address the problem of the police and the community, and making sure, with all of the experience that I had, understanding both sides of the issue, I wanted to make sure that we put processes in place that will minimize the potential of another situation like we had in 2001. So I was able to put together the Street Advocate Program, and moving forward, I became the chair of Law and Public Safety for the city of Cincinnati. I wanted that for the next 8 years. I didn't want to be finance chair and all those. I wanted to focus on making sure that what we put in place going forward from 2001, the collaborative agreement, the memorandum of understanding between police and the community, the procedural changes to the procedural manuals, all that stuff. I wanted to make sure that we implemented what we agreed to going forward, and I was successful. And as a result of that, when I left council in 2013, the relationship between citizens and police was at an all-time high, and it's still there, in spite of what we've seen. And the reason you gauge that is based on your calls to Crime Stoppers. Once we started to get the community and the police working together, calls for Crime Stoppers went up significantly, meaning citizens were trusting the police, and they didn't mind calling and telling them what happened in the neighborhood. And things started to work very, very good. And I today feel very comfortable that we still have our challenges. Now, don't get me wrong. However, my efforts in this area is what drove me to make sure that we won't repeat this and minimize that potential going forward. And so I think I got, what was the question? I get so caught up in what some of the stuff that I've done, but the question was basically, why should college students care about the mayor's election? And yeah, so all of that, I said all of that to say this. My experience, I've learned being at the State House, one of the most effective ways to build your future is to take your college students and bring internships for those college students so they can have a hands-on approach. So if a student is interested in being in the political field, he can come and intern in my office or one of the other legislators' office. If a student is interested in the issue of housing development in a neighborhood, he can come in the mayor's office and the mayor can set up an internship so that student will have a hands-on approach to apply what he's learning in the classroom to the actual putting that into practice in the neighborhood. That's one of the things that's been missing, in my opinion, at City Hall, is that internship. Because we have so many students learning so many different areas of what it takes to run a city. The economic aspect, the housing aspect, the access to healthcare aspect, the educational aspect, all of those things. And so I would be in a position to say to my staff in the say the Department of Economic Development, I need you to put 2 intern students in that classroom. So that's why my thoughts are, your school is part of the neighborhood. You have Evanston that surrounds you. You have North Avondale that surrounds you. So you have to be mindful. Well, here's a good example. The Walson Way Trail comes right to Xavier. So, all right, I'll hush. Yeah. How much time we got? But I'll talk all day, I tell you. I mean, the reason I get so passionate about the students being involved. I spent a lot of time as the head of the Human Relations Commission after the civil unrest, taking students into the area where the unrest occurred, walked those streets where Timothy Thomas was killed, and they still had the memorials up. And I explained to the students how people were so passionate about what was going on. And then I explained to them that because the incident of the unrest was not because the police officer pulled the trigger. That just ignited the powder keg. And I explained to them how you can go to music hall, and all the rich folks go to music hall, and then 1 block away from that, because in front of music hall, you had the cobblestone streets and you had the beautiful sidewalks. But 1 block north, you had broken windows and sidewalks all uprooted, and people sitting on their stoops getting arrested for having an open flash. And I said, all of this broken windows and sidewalks would be unacceptable in front of music hall, but it was okay, and then it was ignored 1 block north. And I said, the frustrations of the quality of life of people is what exploded, and that's why we had the civil unrest. And I teach the students those kinds of scenarios so they can get a better feel of what urban life is about and how they can be impactful in making changes. So I'll hush there.
Oh, it's great. It's great to hear you talk about your experiences with students and with helping them to understand their city better. Our next question is going to come from President Townsend.
Yeah, so you obviously have a ton of experience in Cincinnati politics, and you've brought significant change to Cincinnati. So my next question is, what will be different about the city of Cincinnati by the time our first year students are seniors?
Well, by the time your first year students are seniors, the difference will be opportunity for those first year students as they look at their final years facing potential graduation and moving on. The difference will be they will have a hands-on opportunity to work within the city services, simply because I talked about the internships. And oftentimes what I've learned up at the State House is a lot of those interns that we have up there, they are extremely sharp, especially when it comes to the technical stuff of what is it called, I want to say, well, there's all the technical stuff on the internet. But anyway, they are extremely sharp with a lot of that. And then they have practical applications that they are able to apply as they learn from the elders, if you will. And so it would be an opportunity for those students, if they choose to root themselves permanently in our city based on whatever sphere of influence that they pursue as their college career. Every one of those students, I can guarantee you, there's a process by which they could apply what they've learned and bring that application into our city services. We're talking about interns, and if they want to be politicians, if they want to address the issue of crime, if they want to address the issue of poverty, education, housing, healthcare, economic development, all of these and much more. The city has to find ways to try to address all of these issues. We got a whole concern now with a shortage of affordable housing. And so how do we, I'm sure there are students that are in the social services field and at Xavier, and they probably could learn and look at what we're doing as far as our affordable housing, and they may have some recommendations based on what they're learning in the classroom. But I do know you all have a significant amount of sharp students who get involved in the government, in politics, because you guys helped me along the way quite a few times. I was very impressed. I remember a spirited debate that I had with one of the Xavier students. The candidate that I was running against was slinging mud. And he said, well, now you got to sling mud back. I said, son, no, no, I want to sling mud back. He said, but you got to fight back. I said, no, the way to fight back is to just stay focused on who you are and never let anybody else define who you are, nor do you allow anyone to define you. And so I said, no, just stay focused. The people know who you are. You don't have to sling mud. And sure enough, he realized he was wrong when the numbers all came out, that I was significant. Now, and on that subject, when I went to the State House, I was a freshman. I did not know anything about how it worked up there. All I did was get elected. And one of the things some of the more senior senators was telling me is, don't even bother to talk to that senator there or that senator. They are so far to the right, you just wasting your time. And so I said, well, no, I don't. I said, they may have political differences than mine. However, I need to make sure that nobody's defined that senator to me. I need to sit down with that senator, let him define himself to me, and let me define myself to him. And sure enough, I met with every senator on the other side of the aisle personally. That was the first thing I did, told my staff to set it up. And we talked, each and every one. And you would be amazed at how much we have in common when you talk about things. And one of the senators said, he's got a son that just destroys his room. He's 17, 18, and will not clean his room up. I said, I got a daughter the same way, and we were able to connect. So my point is that as a mayor, I know you all have in your final year, you have a significant amount of knowledge to bring. And that knowledge can be put into practical application simply because not only have you had the experience of the classroom, you've also had the experience of being an intern in our city. And I think that's so important if we want to keep our talent. And not just in the government, but then in business as well. My role as a senator would be my role as the mayor would be to lobby the businesses, get these kids involved, get them in the internships in the business sector, the social service sector, the educational sector, and on and on. And I think that would behoove not just the Xavier University, but all the universities that are part of the city of Cincinnati. You guys all are part of the community.
Senator, that's great advice. I'm going to think a lot about how you talked about not allowing other people to define you and having that conversation. I think that's really powerful advice. I'm going to turn to Mr. Fossey again for the next question.
Thank you, Dr. Crastel. So this is just a follow-up to Mickey's question. But you mentioned that there are various opportunities for students who are interested in public policy and politics. For students who are interested in other fields, what will make them want to stay in Cincinnati after they graduate?
Well, I think what would make them want to stay in Cincinnati after they graduate is that being able to apply practical application to what they have learned. And see, as an intern, you will begin to see what is being said in the classroom, and you say, yeah, I understand why they have a problem with affordable housing. And now you're going to be motivated to say, and you will already have the direct connections with those who are currently in those positions, who are looking for new talent to carry on what they may be attempting to do. So by having those internships and learning and applying that application that you've learned in the classroom, you would feel compelled to say, okay, I know what's going on with children's services. I see the challenges that they have. I've worked hand in hand with those folks that are trying to address those challenges. I accompanied the Meals on Wheels folks to help the seniors, and I listened to the seniors and their concerns, and on and on. And when you start to apply what you're learning in the classroom and see how that actually truly impacts those that are in the community, that will compel you to say, okay, it's not about money all the time. It's about doing what's in your heart to help someone, and God will do the rest. This is what I tell them all the time. God will do the rest. You just do your part, and He'll send you those to assist you in doing what you do. You'll be standing in Starbucks, and a member of this community said, "Well, aren't you so-and-so, the kid that I saw helping out? I really appreciate what you're doing. Maybe I can help you do something else." And you'll be amazed at how things happen just by you doing your part, which is to, and do it by the heart and not by ambition and all those other things.
Senator Thomas, we have 2 more questions for you. Is that all right? Do you have
Oh,
time for 2
please,
more questions?
I got all day. I don't mind. Yes.
So Mr. Fossey, your next question, please.
So Senator Thomas, you mentioned your many years of experience in law enforcement within Cincinnati. So something that has emerged as an issue of particular importance to Xavier students are matters of policing. And given the events of this past summer and your experience, do you have any visions for the future of the Cincinnati Police Department if elected as mayor?
Oh, absolutely. And see, it's not one of the things we did after the civil unrest was to really take a close look at how are we doing policing in the city of Cincinnati? Why are we citizens feeling that it was an us against them mentality out there? And so we had to address that. We had to look at all of those issues. And as a result of that, we made some significant changes. And moving forward, we realized that maybe we should look at some areas that other citizens can do as it relates to calls for service versus what the police were doing, especially when it came to mental health issues, when it came to issues of police officers. Well, I'll use an example. I had to go get a bat out of a lady's house, you know. I'm a police officer. And so my point is that we reimagine policing going forward. And it has taken some time to get it all in place because there was a lot of resistance. You know, cops was always saying, we're not social workers, but we're doing all this social service type work. So, okay, let's bring the social services workers into the police department. Let's bring the mental health service workers into the police department. Let's reimagine policing and let's allow police to do what they're charged to do. And let's get some of these other areas, get community involvement. And that has been very successful. We still got a long way to go. We've got social service workers that are staffed with the police department. We have mental health services that are staffed, but it's not to the point where they are a unit of the police department. What you want to do is create that unit. And one of the things I had already suggested, and I've been working in policing, working on police matters all my life. One of the things I said is we might want to look at bringing these folks on as a unit and expanding that so that when you get the call about children left alone, all right, yeah, the officer responds, but immediately he assesses the situation and it is truly just children left alone, then let the social services come and take over that, the unit that may be in the police department who can respond with the police or respond immediately after. That way the police time is not taken up for 2-3 hours, which we hate as law enforcement officers, to have to deal with children, sitting with them until we get all of the people in place to take care of them. But social services can do that much better. So yes, my whole idea going forward will be to look at our calls for service and see if we got other areas that a lot of areas where someone else other than law enforcement can handle that situation.
Thank you. And now our last question is going to come from President Townsend.
Yeah, first off, I just want to thank you one more time for coming and speaking with us. This has been super beneficial and educational. But my last question is, what kind of advice would you give college students who are wanting to go into local politics?
Well, thank you, Madam President, for that question. I would highly recommend getting involved in what's going on in the various neighborhoods. Go to the community council meetings. Evanston Community Council has been extremely effective in partnering with the Xavier students on things that were going on in Evanston related to politics and decisions being made at City Hall. We got 52 neighborhoods. Students, through their professors, can do extra credit or whatever to attend the council meetings, introduce themselves to the president of the council. Right now, you can do it virtual online. And they have a list that you can go on the city's website that shows you every one of the community councils. Listen to what they're saying, because that's what makes up your city. And and one of the reasons we had civil unrest was because concerns of community councils in over the Rhine during that period were being overlooked and not attended to. People were concerned about not being able to open their windows at night on a seniors living on the first level of an apartment building, and they couldn't open their windows at night, and they didn't have air conditioning. It was 60 or 70, 80 degrees at night. And it was too hot. And they were just asking for the city to get involved to help them feel more safe in their community, because they were feared somebody would climb in the window. So things like that. And I can go all day to tell you all the other areas. But most important, get involved with your community councils, come down to City Hall and speak on behalf of that neighborhood that you're a part of, and say, well, these citizens are concerned about this. You're at the neighborhoods committee at City Hall, and you're speaking on behalf of the citizens. And oftentimes what you'll find out, they'll look at you and say, wow, that's a leader. She's speaking very, very eloquently on our concerns. And you'll be amazed at how that will get the attention of a lot of people. So yeah, my biggest advice, get involved, whatever area you choose to when it comes to politics. If I was the mayor, you could pursue internships. I would encourage all of the members of council to also bring in internships, just to get you all involved. That's the only way you're going to stay in your city, because now you would recognize we got a city that needs help, and we got citizens in that city that need help, and you all could be that future hand up for those citizens.
Thank you so much for those inspiring words, and it's really it's heartening. It makes me look forward to the future. So I want to thank you, Senator Thomas, again for your time, for joining us. When I finish this recording, I'm going to post it on our website, and I'll send you the link. And I just want to thank you again for being here and for your public service.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's refreshing to be able to share my heart and those. I'm in the evening of my career, and I want to impart my knowledge into those who can take it forth going forward. And it doesn't do any good for me to take it to my grave without sharing it. Then I can look from a higher power and say, look at that young lady right there. I taught her. So yeah, thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you.
All right.